G'day, I'm David A. Elliott. There are a number of new developments that occurred during August 2021 in regards to the disappearances of Robyn Hickie and Amanda Robinson in 1979, including offers of million-dollar rewards for information and excavations at an old scout camp looking for bodies, among other things. But I will start with a brief update on David McCorriston's appearance at Belmont Court on the 4th of August 2021 in relation to charges for historical sexual offences. And towards the end of this video, I will also cover a Daily Telegraph article from the 21st of August, where they have interviewed the woman who claimed that David McCorriston's brother attempted to rape her in March 1980. But a trial in 1981 acquitted him of the offence. David McCorriston has not been mentioned as a person of interest in any of the disappearances, but the brother I just mentioned is a person of interest and was convicted in June this year, 2021, of other unrelated historical sexual offences and serious assaults on these women. I have covered the details of this in a number of my previous videos, which you may like to look at. There were actually two listings for David McCorriston's court appearance at Belmont. One listing is for first appearance committal and the other is for brief status committal. Committal hearings are simply for the local court to establish if there is sufficient evidence for the case to go to trial. I found no media reports on this court appearance and assume there was probably nothing new to report. It probably only covered where the prosecution was up to in putting their brief of evidence together, as his next court appearance is also listed as a first appearance committal and will be at Newcastle Court on the 15th of September. Now, I will discuss the million-dollar rewards offered on the 16th of August 2021 in relation to the disappearances of Robyn Hickie and Amanda Robinson. But I'll let another David A. Elliott tell you about it first.
Well, today police are announcing an increase in the reward for information leading to the conclusion of the investigation into the murder of Robyn Hickie and Amanda Robinson. Robyn and Amanda both disappeared in April 1979. Robyn was 18 and Amanda was 14. Even though the disappearances were 2 weeks apart, police are investigating both matters as a single investigation. It's important that the people of Lake Macquarie and indeed right across New South Wales look into their hearts to see if they have any information that might lead to the conclusion of this matter. This increase in the reward to $1 million for each of the investigations will hopefully spark the conscience of somebody who knows anything about the disappearance of these two teenage girls.
The Newcastle Herald also reported these rewards on page 9 the next day and adds that the police minister also said, "For far too long, Robyn and Amanda's families have lived with the pain of losing a child, but without any idea of how it happened or who is responsible." Mr. Elliott said, "They have been in limbo for 4 decades not knowing. They deserve answers now, and we believe that offering these new rewards should be sufficient incentive for those with information to come forward. If your conscience won't make you act, maybe $2 million will. Anyone with information about either case can contact Crime Stoppers anonymously, online, or on 1800 333 000. Though, of course, if you wanted to be eligible for the $1 million reward for each, you would have to not be anonymous, obviously. Now, in doing my research, I found that several years ago, a request for these rewards was made by the families of 4 missing girls. They've been looking for answers for over 40 years and just need resolution. I'll just play some excerpts about this from a Sky News report on the 23rd of December 2018, which is about 2.5 years before the present time.
Well, the families of Newcastle's missing women want just one thing for Christmas: a $1 million police reward for information on each of their disappearances. Gordana, Kotevski, Amanda Robinson, Beth Goodall and Robyn Hickie vanished between 1978 and 94, and earlier this year the former state coroner told True Crime a serial killer could be responsible.
Nothing has ever been found of these women, and that's what makes it particularly disturbing, of course, for the families who have spent so long without answers.
Well, that's right. There's 4 women here from 4 different families, and I understand that over the years the parents have actually become friends, but now they remain committed to, of course, to a resolution. And Amelia, they want a $1 million reward for information for each disappearance.
Yeah, that's right. The families have become friends. Unfortunately, they've been united by the terrible heartbreak of losing one of their children. But what they're hoping now is that having that $1 million reward will be just the large enough sum of money to bring forward someone who might have been keeping a secret or holding information over all these years. All they're asking is that that person come forward and put them out of their misery.
A media conference given by Detective Inspector Benson on the 16th of August offers some insights into where the investigation is at now, although he was careful not to say too much. But the key bits of information gleaned are that they consider the 2 disappearances as connected. It seems they may have a particular person or possibly persons of interest they consider responsible. They have significant leads and relevant information, but not enough for arrests. And they are still seeking any information about the green 4-door Tirana that was initially mentioned at the end of 2019, as it was seen in the area when Amanda Robinson disappeared. I'll just play some relevant bits from this media conference.
Do you have a message for anyone in the community that might be sitting on some information that just hasn't come forward yet? What would you say to anyone who may be?
I would say think about A, the reward, and B, the families involved. And like I said, this occurred 42 years ago. So, you know, what the families have gone through and what they continue to go through, if we can bring answers and closure to them, I think that would be a very nice thing to do. And not only that, there is a reward if the information leads to an arrest.
Do you have a major person of interest?
We are following strong lines of inquiry, but I'm not going to comment on person of interest or those lines of inquiries at this stage.
Do you believe that both teenage girls have fallen victims of the same serial killer?
Again, I'm not at liberty to comment on that. All I can say is we are following several lines of inquiry, and in relation to what they are or who they involve, yeah.
So you're linking the disappearance of both girls, so they must be linked in some sense. Can you tell us how they're linked? Are you looking for the same person?
Well, first and foremost, obviously the geographical location of the 2 incidents and the timeframes. So that is something we're certainly looking into.
Do you think you're looking for multiple killers?
We're looking for persons that might be involved in both incidents, but like I said, those inquiries and those lines of inquiries, I can't comment any further on that at this stage.
These crimes happened a long time ago. How confident are you that more people responsible are still alive?
Look, we're fairly confident.
Any items belonging to the girls, has any evidence been found over the years, over the 42 years? I don't know bodies have been found.
Yeah.
Anything else?
The evidence has been gathered. If you're talking about specific items, exhibits, not at this stage, but like I said, there are active lines of inquiry on both those incidents.
That green car that was put out a few years ago, is that still a car that you're interested in?
Yes, it is.
And why is that?
Well, we believe it was seen in or around the location on the 21st of April 1979. So it's an obviously line of inquiry for us.
Over the next couple of days, a few dozen reports of information were supplied, but a report from earlier led to excavations at an old scout camp at Nords Wharf on the 18th of August. Channel 7 reported on this, and here are some excerpts from their report and Newcastle's NBN News report.
2 days after the promise of a $2 million reward, police have swooped on bushland near Newcastle as they reopen a cold case into the disappearance of 2 teenage girls. Detectives have spent the day at an old scout camp, digging by hand and by bulldozer in a search for human remains.
Today's operation at the former scout camp comes 2 days after a $2 million reward was announced.
What we've seen in the last couple of days is proof that the New South Wales Police don't believe that a cold case should ever go cold.
Detectives have received dozens of tip-offs.
It stimulated a lot of interest. We are reviewing every single bit of information that comes through.
The site is 20 kilometres from where Robyn disappeared and just 9 kilometres from where Amanda was last seen.
Do you think she's alive now?
No. Today, Amanda's mother, Anne, was pleased with the breakthrough and told 7 News she was a beautiful girl, an innocent little girl. This old campsite is one of multiple locations where officers are searching for evidence. Detectives say the tip-off that led them here is strong because the information was so specific.
Officers digging with heavy machinery today. They will also use ground-penetrating radar tomorrow as part of the new search.
NBN News reported the following night that the excavation was wound up that afternoon, but further digs at the site were possible in the coming weeks. I expect that may be based on anything that may appear of interest from the ground-penetrating radar that was used. The Newcastle Herald also reported on page 2 of its August 19 edition that police have received dozens of messages and calls to Crime Stoppers in the 2 days since the reward money was announced for each case. But information that led investigators to Camp Canangra came before Monday's announcement. Lake Macquarie Police District Crime Manager Detective Inspector Steve Benson said the Nords Wharf site was one of many that investigators were looking into at Lake Macquarie. Police are continuing to follow strong leads in relation to this investigation, he said. We're looking for information in relation to the disappearance. Obviously, the specifics of that I won't go into because I've got to maintain the integrity of the investigation. The person that provided the information leading to the excavation at the old scout camp was interviewed by Newcastle's NBN News and is included in the following clip from that news report.
A former scout telling NBN News of a possible link between the camp and a person of interest in the police investigation.
We would, from time to time, go on camps and we certainly attended the Nords Wharf Camp Canangra. And I know there's a person of interest who attended there with us, people who may be critical to what's taking place.
This I found interesting, as I am fairly certain not long after I began making videos about the person of interest identified at the beginning of 2020, that someone had made comments on my videos that he knew his brother or brothers at school and knew him through Scouts. I can't be certain though, as those comments are no longer there. This person of interest was also acquitted of attempted rape in 1980, which I provided details of in my first video on this topic in my playlist called 1979 Missing Girls Newcastle, which I'll put a link to at the end of this video and in the description below. The fifth video in this playlist, which is a January 2020 update, also gives a summary of what I could find on the life of this person of interest and his possible connections to these and other disappearances around that time. The eighth video also includes an interview with the person who accused him of attempted rape. She has now been the main subject of a double-page article on page 12 and 13 of the Daily Telegraph on Saturday, the 21st of August 2021. So I'll just read you what is said. When a male driver told teen hitchhiker Lynda Ray, "You have got in with the wrong one now, baby," she knew she was in deep trouble. Now that's a bit of a misquote, because in the original newspaper reports from 1981 and also interviews on NBN television about 18 months or so ago, she has said that he said to her, "You have got in with the wrong one this time, baby, not now."
He just grabbed me and he said, "You got in with the wrong one this time, baby."
I don't know how that's been misquoted, but perhaps the newspaper reporter got it wrong or noted it down incorrectly or something. I don't know. But anyway, she then goes on to say, "They are words I will never forget. They have never left me," Lynda says now of the encounter near Newcastle that took place when she was 18 years old back in 1980. "It gives me goosebumps just thinking about it. The terrifying moment took place near a lonely Lake Macquarie scout camp that has become crucial in the investigation of 2 cold case deaths." Now, the scout camp was at Nord's Wharf and she was taken to Whitebridge near Glenrock Lagoon. So I think there might be a little confusion there, but we'll continue. "The man is a person of interest in the disappearance and suspected murders of teenagers Robyn Hickie and Amanda Robinson. Lynda Ray claims she escaped the clutches of a man on a dirt road near the Glenrock Scout Camp and ran naked to 2 strangers who rescued her. If they didn't turn up, I would be dead now," Ms. Ray, who has given permission to be identified, said this week. "I would have gone the same way as those 2 girls." Now, there's been no convincing evidence presented that he was responsible, so that's, I dare say that she was frightened, and maybe she's right, maybe she's wrong, but I would make it clear that's an opinion and these are alleged. Anyway, I'll continue. A man who cannot be identified, I'm not sure why, because he's been repeatedly identified with his court case and over the past 18 months or so, but anyway, was charged and later found not guilty of the attempted rape of Ms. Ray. The same man, now serving time in prison for multiple rape convictions, is a person of interest in the disappearances of Robyn and Amanda. Ms. Ray's testimony has formed an important part of the reinvestigation of their suspected murders by Strike Force Arapaima detectives, who this week spent 2 days searching another Lake Macquarie scout camp looking for the remains of the missing teens. The 2-day search at Camp Canangra near Nord's Wharf uncovered no fresh evidence. But investigators have promised significant further searches of Camp Canangra and other sites across Lake Macquarie as their 2-year investigation continues to make headway. It was March 1980, and just 11 months after Robyn, 18, and Amanda, 14, vanished just a few kilometres south, when Ms. Ray decided to hitchhike from markets at Newcastle West to her home in nearby Merewether. It was something everyone did back then. I don't know why I did, but I just did, she said. A car pulled up almost immediately, with a young man in the driver's seat. Ms. Ray said as soon as she got into the passenger seat, she knew she was in trouble. He grabbed me by the wrist and said, "You have got in with the wrong one now, baby." She said, "They are words I will never forget." And as I said before, I think that's misquoted. The now should be this time. Anyway, so she said, "They are words I will never forget. They have never left me." She says the driver failed to make the turn-off to Ms. Ray's home, instead continuing towards the popular Glen Rock Scout Camp at Whitebridge. The driver parked the car on Scout Camp Road, then a dirt track, dragged her into the back seat and ripped her clothes off. And actually I remember in 1976-77, me and some school friends rode our push bikes down there, and yeah, it was a dirt track then, so haven't been there since, so no idea what it is now, but obviously it must be sealed. Okay, anyway, back to this. The driver parked the car on Scout Camp Road, then a dirt track, dragged her into the back seat and ripped her clothes off. He was as cool as a cucumber the whole time, Ms. Ray said. Nothing fazed him. He was in control. Ms. Ray said the man became more brutal as they wrestled in the back seat before headlights from a second car approached. She knew if she was to escape, it was then. "I got out of his grasp somehow and I jumped out of the car," Ms. Ray said. "I was naked, but I just bolted to this other car. They saved me." Ms. Ray said as she got into the car, which was carrying a young couple, the man jumped back into the driver's seat of his vehicle and sped off, spinning the tyres on the dirt as he made his getaway. There are several reasons her attack is crucial to Strike Force Arapaima, set up to reinvestigate the disappearances of Robyn and Amanda. It was just 11 months after both girls vanished. Robyn from a Belmont North bus stop on April 9, 1979, and Amanda as she walked home along Lake Road, Swansea, a fortnight later. And it was 15 months after the attempted abduction of an 11-year-old girl at Blacksmiths, an incident also being reinvestigated. Now, that's one I haven't read of before. Might need to have a look into that. Anyway, the place where she was taken has investigators interested. Scout Camp Road is a dead end, running through Glenrock State Conservation Area to Glenrock Scout Camp. Ms. Ray's attack occurred less than 10 kilometres north of where Robyn was seen at a Pacific Highway bus stop and 20 kilometres from where Amanda vanished. All are on the eastern side of Lake Macquarie, with the site of the search for remains at the former scout camp called Camp Canangra. I really feel for the families of those missing girls, Ms. Ray said. 42 years is such a long time without answers. What happened to me has stayed with me for that entire time. I have never gone back to that area. It gives me goosebumps just thinking about it. Anyway, I hope you forgive my voice throughout this video. I did have a minor operation on my vocal cords a couple of weeks ago and still a little bit raspy. And I'll just mention that over the last week, my channel has hit 100 subscribers. I'm David A. Elliott. Have a good one and see you around like a ristle.